Hello, everyone. This is Sabrina, and we are here recording another episode of Coffee with Sabrina. And boy, do I have an exciting guest with me today. This is a little bit different from the guests that we've had before, but I know so many of us need Samiya. So, Samiya, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
We tried this a couple of times.
Yes.
So I'm really glad you're here today.
Yes.
And all the traffic and getting lost and, well, missing exits, not getting
Yes.
lost. So thank you for taking the time to be here.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Jersey City, New Jersey. Love that place. That's what I call home till to this day, even though I've been gone forever. But I am a daughter of immigrant parents that came to the U.S. at a very young age. My mom came at 18.
Wow.
They're from Bangladesh. And then my dad followed a couple of years later. And I am their only one. And
wow.
So, we started our life in Jersey City, New Jersey, where, I've kind of grew up there, watched my parents make, living for themselves, a living for me. And raised me in places that wasn't so great, but they made the best of it with me. I had a great life growing up, traveled a lot with my parents in a car, even if it's a broken down car. We've had it break down in certain areas across the U.S.
Yeah.
But we still made it work. It was always like, we may not be, the richest, and we may not have all the money in the world, but we have a car and that my parents got from an auction, and we're gonna take this and go on road trips.
Oh my God.
I would pack up the back of the car
Wow.
with a blanket and a pillow and lay down and go to sleep because I thought it was the most boring thing ever, because I didn't have, siblings.
Yeah.
My parents wanted to see lakes and trees and nature. But now when I think back to it, I'm like, wow, I've traveled to like 13 to 14 states all in the car with them until like I got older, and I was like, go anymore, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so
that's a lot of, just to reflect now and
Yes.
to be able to talk about it today. I love that because I think I was just telling you that my childhood those were my best days.
yes,
And it was my best days because of that reason, getting to spend it with my parents. I really didn't have a rough time to where I, disliked my mom or my dad because they didn't want us to go somewhere, or even at our cousin's house, sometimes we couldn't go and spend the night, right? But I still had a beautiful childhood. And now, while I didn't have issues then, now is when I do all the reflection of it.
yes.
And I remember how much fun and laughter, and I can bring those memories back to them and say thank you.
Absolutely. And I think it's the fun memories, but at the same time, even the not so fun memories, like you learned something from it, or even you left back at it. I was like, wow, I was a very wild child that wanted to like go out all the time and think, my parents, whatever they were telling me to do, where it was like the wrong thing to do. Like you're growing up in America with, parents from Bangladesh. It's two different cultures, two different expectations. The way of life is different. So there was always like some struggles there, like listening to them. But now that I think about it, I'm like, it was a great life. It was all, they have worked really hard to build a great life.
Yeah. I would love to hear that story from my son, because I grew up also in a different country, in Trinidad, but I always wondered, how am I going to raise my child here in America, right? The cultures are so different. He turned out pretty good. I don't need to worry about that. But that's a big fear for parents from different cultures and different countries, is how are we going to raise our kids? And we want to raise them like us. But for me, I just wanted my son I wanted to instill some values and make sure he understood his culture and have some traditions, So that's really amazing that you would be able to reflect on that, but also not just the good things, the things that you can reflect on and say, wow, I learned something. So I love that.
Absolutely. It's great experience to look back to as an adult and, kind of looking at the journey from being a child, going through high school, going through college, and now, where I am today, I'm a wife and a dog mom, and a business owner. So,
Right.
there's a lot that has happened, but that foundation is still like my family.
Right. Right. So when did you move to Texas?
I moved to Texas I butcher this. Oh my gosh, oh my goodness. I was in high school, my second year of high school. So I moved to Texas, I think in 2004.
Oh wow, so a very long time.
Very long time ago. But ever since I moved to Texas till to this day, I've never missed a year to go back and visit Jersey and New York.
Mhm.
I have a lot of friends there that are my childhood friends and family, like relatives,
Right.
cousins and everything. But yeah, we moved to Austin, Texas,
Mhm.
and it was a struggle because I lived in the inner city, like walked
Yes.
to school, walked everywhere that you want to go to, like, oh my gosh, I need a car. My mom has to take me everywhere.
Yes.
And from a lot of diversity to like, I don't know, like back in that time frame in Austin, it wasn't as diverse as to my liking.
Right.
Right? Where I was like, oh, wow, where do I belong? Like I'm in this high school and I'm like, wow, it's like very much separated by race. And I'm like, I don't know where I go.
Right.
So that was a struggle. That was definitely a struggle for the first year. Then
Yeah.
kind of got used to it and now I love it. I wouldn't leave.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Austin, yeah, in the 20 years ago, or however long that was, yeah, 20 years ago, that would have been a little tough.
Yes.
I mean, it's
It's
more
very
diverse now,
Absolutely.
but back then it really wasn't.
It wasn't, and it was very different. The schools, actually, the high schools at that time reminded me of the schools I saw on TV while I was living in Jersey. And I was like, wow. But then at the same time, I was like, this is so different.
Yeah.
The whole cultural of like, and Jersey City is one of the most diverse cities in the whole country. And so, like, if you research into that, Jersey City is always on the list.
Wow.
So I went from that to like going into high school where I'm like, okay, everybody's separated by like their group of background, and I just kind of try to fit in where I can. The first week, maybe I was in the bathroom during the lunchtime and was there struggling by myself. But then after that, I made some friends and hit it off from there.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, very
Wow.
different perspectives. I think living in a city like that before coming to Texas kind of gave me two perspectives of life, and also had given me so much knowledge about like all different cultures and religions.
Yeah.
To like coming to Texas and knowing about that is something I think was a plus for me, because I was able to kind of share it with friends that I had and kind of take them back to New York for the first time, where they're like, wow, this is, so different from Austin.
Yeah.
So I think having that ability to be around a lot of like diversity,
Mhm.
it helped me a little bit later here in Texas as I got friends and got comfortable and everything.
Right. So, wow, that's amazing. That is so amazing. What led you into becoming a business owner?
I never like saw myself as a business owner until I started the business.
Really?
Yes, I did not. I was always, I went to college, got, a degree in accounting, and I was like, I'm going to work in oil and gas. I'm going to work at these corporate companies and climb up the ladder. And I was so dedicated to have that in my life until I started, like working corporate America, which I still loved. Like the last company I was in, it was a pharmaceutical company. I loved the experience I've had there. But I think there was a part of me that really loved creativity and events, right? Every time, like, growing up, I used to volunteer at the local library, and I used to plan their talent shows,
Wow.
And like join their book club to read to kids.
Yeah.
Right. And I used to plan those talent shows every year. I would get a group of friends together. They would be in our committee,
Mm-hmm.
and we would plan these talent shows. And then, to college, I was doing a lot of like events on campus, and then some fashion shows. And that's where I got into like, oh, let me open up a boutique for like jewelry.
Yeah.
I was in college, or right around that time. And then I was like, I like this. I have my own thing. I can do whatever I want, like get creative, learn from my mistakes and learn from my successes. But then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to corporate America and like stay there because that's safe.
Right.
You know, that's safe and
Yeah.
that's where they're secure. Until, you know, I started my wedding planning business. I think I did it as a side business for such a long time until I realized, like, hey, there's some growth opportunity here. I'm getting consistent clients, and I want to try to build something for myself and, you know, have the mentality where, like, if I don't try it now, then I'm not going to try it later, and then I'm going to regret it later.
Yeah.
So why not do it now? And if I need to ever fall back into like going back to a 9-to-5 or a job, I have that option.
Yeah.
But like, I want to try this business life out first.
Right. Yeah. So you said you're a wedding planner, but you are unique and you have a niche. So can we talk about that?
Yes. The weddings we do are very challenging,
Yeah.
but it's so much fun. I think like that's one thing I like about it, is one, I get to like be around people that are in the South Asian culture, which I really didn't have a lot of that growing up because, like, you know, growing up, I was in such a diverse, you know, environment that there wasn't just a lot of, you know, like, it wasn't just, oh, I was around a lot of Indian people or Pakistani. No, like, I have my best friends Hispanic, my best friends Vietnamese and Chinese, and, you know, then I have Pakistani and Indian. They were so mixed, right?
Yeah.
But then when I came here, I was truly like just kind of separated from it altogether. So when I started doing like weddings, I helped a friend of mine kick off her wedding planning portion of the company. And I started doing like cultural weddings, Persian weddings, Indian weddings. And I was like, gosh, I really love the logistics behind this. It's like putting this big puzzle together, but while you're putting this puzzle together, you're building relationships with the families, the couples, and you're literally solving problems that are huge for them because a wedding is a big deal. In our South Asian culture, when it comes to having a wedding, it's not just the couple, it's a family affair. Like, the whole entire family's involved in all the decisions, and they're having to spend tons of money. And I'm like, this is something nobody should do by themselves. Right? And they need an expert to come in and take their vision and put the puzzle together and execute it and see it come to life.
Yeah.
Right? And so I helped with a couple of South Asian weddings, and then that's all I started doing was South Asian weddings. And
Was all of this from referrals, I'm assuming?
All from referrals.
Yeah.
We kicked it off in 2019 with 2 weddings. Then we had quite a few, I think about 15 planned for 2020, but then COVID hit. Right. And so when COVID hit, we were trying to reschedule all the weddings to the following year. But I took that time in 2020 to really market myself, focus on marketing, putting my brand out there. You know,
it didn't scare you. 2020 didn't scare you to stop.
It didn't scare me, but I will have to say it didn't scare me because I still had my safety net, which was my corporate job.
Okay.
I still had my corporate career. I was still doing really good there. I was still enjoying what I was doing there. I was handling a lot of clients. So a lot of the skills that I was learning at that company, I'm able to use today. I still use today. So I was doing both. So I had security, right? Now, yes, it did cross my mind where I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I was full-time with this? What would have happened? Right? But now it doesn't scare me because now it's like when there's something challenging, when you're an entrepreneur and you do it full-time, there's no other way.
Right.
You're going to figure it out, and you're going to figure out how to pivot, and you're going to ask for help if you can't.
Yeah.
And you have no choice but to figure it out.
Right.
You know, so
I love that you said that because figure it out has been a statement that's coming up a lot. And in some of my reflection moments and my clarity moments, I realized throughout my entire life, I had to figure it out, right? So when I see challenges in my businesses right now, or even publishing my journal, I have so many challenges with that. And I'm like, okay, you're going to figure this out. And that came up and it came up and it came up. And now that it came up so much, I'm hearing it more as we're speaking and I'm speaking to others. I hear that. So I love that you're sharing that because, like I told you, one of the purpose of the podcast is really to help business owners out there, new or old, or even individuals who are thinking about starting a business and they don't know how. So I like to always mention that on this podcast because this is the purpose of it, is to help others. So figuring it out, we always have to do that. And you said something too, we're going to ask for help.
Yeah, we're going to ask for help.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary because you as an entrepreneur, I'm sure, like maybe when Sabrina, you were doing your book, you probably didn't know like the process to it, but you're like, I'm going to figure it out. And now it's published.
Yes.
Right? So like that whole process where you're like trying to figure out, but now you're at the end product,
Yes.
you know, but asking for help is really important. But also, I think it is fair to say knowing who to ask is important too, because I have learned that not everybody is here for the best interest.
Exactly.
Right? So you have to build your circle.
Yeah.
And that circle can be anybody from, you know, from a different background, different business, different family, whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That circle is really important because, you know, you trust them to ask questions, be vulnerable, like, you know, and be honest that you need help.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is receptive to that in a genuine way.
Right, exactly. So that was back in 2020. So when you picked up on your weddings in 2021, did you reschedule all of them, or how did that go for you?
I rescheduled all of them. At that time, I didn't have like a big team. I just had myself and assistants that would help me just on the day of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I rescheduled all of my events in 2021, and then I went full time with my business in, oh my gosh, I can't remember, 2022 or 2023.
Time flies.
Jeez, I think it's 2023 or 2022. I'll come back to that.
Not so important, but
yes.
At least you're full time now.
Yes, I'm full time now.
Yeah.
I'm full time now, and that took a huge step, right?
So I definitely talk about that step, but also I'm so excited about this. Like, I'm so super excited. I'm like, I don't have the guy yet, but you're going to do my wedding.
I will be there anywhere in the country.
Right. So that's what I want to talk about is you travel. You do this outside of Texas, outside of the United States. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's when I started doing weddings, my very first wedding was in Memphis, Tennessee. So I was like, oh great, I'm traveling for my first one.
Yeah.
But I did not think that I would be traveling to a different country doing this.
Yeah.
Right. And it is more of a recent development, like starting in 2023 was when we started. But I think it kind of gives me a little bit more insight to get more creative when I'm going to different countries. I'm also starting to see like how people are from different regions and different countries and even different cities, their taste and, you know, how modern they are or how traditional they are. You see a lot once you travel. So we have done, you know, weddings in Latin America. We have done weddings in the Caribbean. And then once you start getting out there, you have these companies that look for wedding planners and invite them to go visit a city, and it's from the tourism board. You visit the city, they pay for everything.
Wow.
And they want you to come and explore the city, meet some suppliers, and hopefully you go back home and pitch this destination for a couple.
Right.
And so those opportunities started coming up. So SB Events has been in Latin America, Caribbean, and now in Europe.
Wow.
So it's,
gosh, I want your job. I want to be able to just travel like that.
Traveling, it's fun. That's the fun part of my job. But I will say it's not for everybody. It is a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
And I think the key to this is having a very supportive partner or family. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Because without a supportive partner or a supportive family, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
To be in this type of industry.
I can imagine for any profession where you're traveling a lot, it puts a lot of pressure, especially if there's a spouse or a partner. It puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
So, does your spouse get to travel with you?
No. I mean, he's gone a couple of times, but not as much as I would love him to.
Yeah.
But hopefully one day we can change that.
Right.
No, he doesn't, but he gets to hear all the fun stories and see all the fun pictures.
Yeah.
And then when he does travel with me, it's a good time.
Good.
You know, I feel good because I know he's here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if you can share two things, a little bit of what you felt like you were most challenged with when you started your business, and up until now, what is your greatest success?
The most challenging when I started my business was myself. It was me. I was the challenge. I was blocking myself from, like success, because I was always like, oh, I don't have enough experience like this other, event company. Oh, I don't even know anybody. I don't even know any like South Asian people here. Or, how am I going to do these weddings and not have any idea or any, connections? Or I felt like I wasn't confident enough, to like get myself out there and talk to people. So once I moved out of my own way, I felt like I was able to overcome some of the challenges, but also understanding that like I'm figuring it out, right? Like as I go, I'm not gonna know everything, and as soon as I realize I'm not gonna know everything, until to this day, sometimes I'll beat myself up because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out and give myself some grace. I think that part is challenging, is like you're in your own way because you're so intimidated. This is something new. This is something where, you have never done this before. Is it gonna work? Is this a bad idea? Everybody around you won't understand the entrepreneur life, right? So like, it's not set up for you to just like succeed. You have to make it succeed.
Right.
What was the second one?
Your greatest success.
My greatest success was going full-time and building a team. I think that was huge. That was a game changer, because I was like, all right, now it's not just me anymore. It is a team that I have to train. I have to teach. I have to learn how to be a leader. Mm-hmm. And as much as like, as a leader, you teach your team, they also teach you, and I think that has been such a great experience. But also, having my brand out there in the United States, but also overseas, has been huge. It kind of shows, all the hard work that was put into it before is now, coming to life.
I love that. I think, you hear wedding planner and I need a wedding planner and that's it. But getting to know you and spending these last months with you through classes and all of that, I learned so much what you do and the details in which you do it. And you're also a perfectionist, so I know that had a lot to do with it. So it's amazing. And I think doing the multicultural weddings, for me, I never even thought of that being such a big thing. It's like, okay, you're going to get married. I personally never had a huge wedding, so I don't know what all goes into that. So that, hearing you talk was just amazing to me. And it still is. Like, hearing you today and learning some of the things that you have gone through and you're doing right now is still amazing.
Yeah. It's a good time. And I wouldn't say like a huge wedding is not just a huge wedding that costs like $100K with like 700 people. Sometimes a huge wedding is still a very small, intimate wedding. Like it's still whatever way you want to make it. Right. However you want to celebrate it, whatever makes you happy. That's what I feel like what real luxury is. Right now, the world sees luxury as like, oh my God, I'm spending, $1 million at my wedding, or, I'm going to have the best Sabiya dress out there and things like that. But sometimes, a wedding can be exactly however you want it to be. Yeah. If it's with 20 people, 10 people, if it's in a mountain or in a courthouse or wherever it is, I think like it's whatever you want it to be, and that doesn't matter if it's small or huge or anything. It's something special to the couple and special to the family. And for Indian weddings, I love how like families are so involved and there's so much emotions that go into it, and we're able to be there with them, like another addition to the family. Stressful, but
I can imagine. I can just imagine, because everyone have an opinion.
Yes.
And so you've got to. So I'm assuming you do a lot of guidance and not counseling, but consulting and trying to get them all on the same page.
Yes, we do. We try to mediate between, parents and couples because, they both have their visions. Typically, the parents are very much, I have a vision for food and, the way the ceremony is, and making sure all of the religious traditions are, are spot on.
Yeah.
And like, that you as a planner care about those traditions and make sure it happens. But then you also end up seeing that couples and their families are not on the same page, right?
Right.
Some couples, they are envisioning something different.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in as a planner and try to figure out, okay, what can we do for mom and dad? Because a lot of times parents are paying for this wedding. What also can you do for the couple? And like mix in both of their ideas, wants, and needs, and like create something for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So for me, I have one son, and he told his dad and I, he said, I'm going to do my own wedding. And so we're like, no, I mean, we were planning for this all your life. Like, we got to do this, and you're right. Both his dad and I, his dad had, we both had a different vision than what he had, and he's like, no, I'm paying for my wedding. I don't want you guys, to pay for my wedding. And we're like, you can't do that. Like, we need, he's like, no, we want to do this because we don't want you guys to come and have a takeover. We don't want you guys to tell us how we should do our wedding. While that was very hurtful, I see it. I see how, as individuals, because it is their wedding.
Right.
It is what they want. And coming from the strong culture background we came from, we also want what we want for our kids, right?
Exactly.
And especially when you have one, it's like, I want some traditions in there. I want this and I want that. I had to learn throughout that process and even after, because as an Indian parent or as a Caribbean parent, it hurt your feelings for a very long time. And then I realized, no, it's not about me. It really has nothing to do about me, because this day is what they're going to remember. This is their day. So that's a hard place to get to. But once you get there, it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. Do you feel like there were some traditions that you were like, I really wanted to see and I missed that? Or were you like, no, this is good. He's happy, so I'm happy.
So yes, there were some traditions that I wanted to see that I missed.
Yes.
That I would have loved to share with him and for him to share with our friends and other families. But all in all, where we are today, I've come to, I'm happy with it.
I love that.
I'm happy with it because he and his wife are very happy. They have a great life together. And that's it. When I think about that, I have to think about the start of that was their wedding. And if we had stepped in and say we want this and we want that, and I think for me it was a little bit different. Still being an Indian or Caribbean parent, we both, his dad and I, raised him to be very independent, have a mind of your own, make your own decisions. So that was, when you think about that part, it really wasn't hard for us. It really wasn't.
I love that, and I know that's like very unique because what I see now with families is like, the families really want certain things, and it's pretty consistent throughout the parents we work with. And then the couples, want something specific. And the way that we see them working together is like, okay, the parents will have a say-so on the religious aspect of the ceremony.
Right.
And couples are sometimes okay with that because they don't even know what it entails.
Yeah.
Or how it's done.
Right.
And then for the reception, parents are like, okay, whatever the couple wants. And so then it becomes like a very collaborative effort.
Yes.
But then we do have sometimes parents where they're like, whatever they want.
Yes.
Which is nice too.
And it makes your job easier too.
Yes. And we're able to navigate both ways.
Wow.
Both ways.
Well, I would love to sit here and talk for the rest of the evening, but I know we both have places to be. So, do you have any last tips or words of wisdom you would like to share with the audience?
Yes. I would say one of the tips is if you have an idea in your mind and you truly believe in it, you just take the step and do it. You'll figure it out.
Yes.
You will figure it out. You'll figure out if you're going to keep doing it or if that's not for you. But if you don't start now, you're going to regret it later.
Right.
So it's better that if you have an idea, go for it. Start, even the smallest step and just do it.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. If the audience wanted to reach you, how would they reach you?
Yes, they can find me on Instagram at sbeventsandco. But at sbeventsandco, and also my email, which is SAMIYA Samiya at sbeventsco.com.
Okay, and all of that will be listed below. So
Okay, great.
well, thank you so much again for being on the show today. This was amazing.
Thank
I love
you,
this.
Sabrina, for having me and being patient with my lateness. I need to be on time to place this.
Oh, you're okay. Okay. Well, guys, we're wrapping up another episode of Coffee with Sabrina. And like I said, all of Samiya's information will be on the bottom of this video. Please give her a shout out. Also, if you would like, comment and share our videos. We're asking to grow both of our networks. So if you would please like, share, and comment. Until next time, bye-bye.